morning. You're listening to the Tom Balya Show on the 1480 WCNS Talk Block and online at 1480WCNS.com. My guests this morning are Chris Laboon and Alex Smith, and we're talking about their background in real estate and the challenges they face in their careers. The show is brought to you by Ford Business Machines, Nichols & Nichols Law Firm, and McDowell Insurance Company. Good morning, Chris and Alex.
Hi.
Good morning, Tom.
Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Well, you know, real estate's kind of a mystery to me because it seems like a real challenge to do, to understand all the things you have to do. You've both been in this profession a long time. Tell us a little bit about your background, Chris. How did you choose real estate?
Actually, I've been selling real estate in this area for about 20 years, and my husband and I just moved a lot just because of his career. So every time we moved, I thought to myself, I should just get a real estate license and learn about it, you know. So that's what I did, and it's been really good for me. It has been wonderful.
Now, what were you doing prior to selling real estate?
I worked in banking, investment banking.
Okay. So the transition from that, and I mean, I guess in investment banking, were you marketing the products of the bank and stuff like that?
No, I actually work with the clients, and it's like real estate. It's all about people,
okay.
You know, like
to
everything.
relate, building relationships.
That's it.
Alex, now I've known Alex since we were children, so I know a little bit about his younger years, but then you went into other types of sales prior to getting into real estate. What drew you to real estate?
Well, I came back from New York where I'd been in medical equipment, and my family was still in the Greensburg area. So sales, you know, I'd been in sales before medical equipment, but I was now in my early 20s, and I decided that the real estate market here seemed to be something that there was a lot of activity, and, you know, the commissions appealed to me. It looked like a way that I could help people, and my father being a teacher and my mother being a nurse, you know, I kind of adapted myself to, I was kind of put on this earth to help, and this seemed to be a way that you know, I could make a good living. So I always enjoyed the challenge and the mental gymnastics of how do we make this happen. So it was always, and still to this day, after 30 years, it's always a challenge, but I guess that's what I'm made for. Now,
you spoke of commissions. I can think of other kinds of sales that might be easier and you could do more volume. I had said to Chris prior to going on the air, for most folks, buying a home is the decision of their life. I mean, they'll buy multiple cars over their life, but is such a huge decision. But for somebody that's in this business, you have to be able to support yourself off of those commissions and generate enough volume to live on.
Right.
Right?
And my father's background, you know, being an educator, also involved somewhat, you know, in politics, and my mother knowing people from the hospital and patients and family members from the hospital. It seemed like there was a base here. My father's name, I started out by, getting business cards name, and everybody had called me by my middle name, David, up to that point. Well, when I went into real estate, I became Alex, and I think actually it was when I went into sales, I became Alex. But I knew that there was this was something. I came back because I wanted to be where my family was, and I saw this as a way to be able to make a good living and stay here and try to serve the community when I can.
Now, the Joe public can't just walk off the street and start selling houses. You have to get licensed to become a realtor. Tell us a little bit about what it takes to get licensed.
Well, the very, very basic decision one has to make before they go on to getting education is, are you okay with waking up unemployed every morning? Because that's what it's going to be. Every day, Tom, you go out and like you did for all those years where you served the people here of Westmoreland County, we kind of go out and we look for the leads. Chris and I, we generate as many of those leads as we can, but certainly we look for opportunities, and that's what a young person or even someone that's middle-aged thinking about a career in that direction, you really have to accept the fact that you're going to reap what you sow. So that would be your first step. Make that determination that the commission sales is something, you've got 6 months, 1 year's salary or something banked that you can afford to go out and take on a venture/adventure, because you will be dealing with the public and you'll be hearing some things that, you never thought people would tell you in a business situation, but yet they're key to you understanding what their overall objective is, and therefore you got to be a great listener. But as far as getting the education, there's many ways. The local community college has programs. There's a real estate school that anyone that wants help can call me, and later we'll give some contact information. But I would certainly be happy to help anybody.
There's a required number of hours that you have to take to get your real estate license, and then every 2 years you have to take required education, continuing education to keep up the license.
So that was going to be my follow-up question. So once you get your license, you have to continue, much like a lawyer getting educational credits and stuff like that. So that makes sense. Well, and I don't even know this, do most people pass the first time? Do a lot of people fail theirs? It's probably been so long since you guys took the first test.
I passed it, but I know there are some agents that have to take it quite a few times, actually.
Right. The Pennsylvania real estate exam, I've been told, is comparable to the bar exam for Pennsylvania. Now, when I took it 30 years ago, I took the crash course, Tom, the day before the exam.
Did you?
The school offered a crash course, and I took that, and I passed it the first time. So I would again encourage anybody that was going to do that to select a school that is convenient, but also one that is known for their high numbers of people coming through the courses and being successful agents. And like I said, I'd be happy to share that information with anybody out there, young or old, that thinks they would like to get into the real estate.
Well, now for a consumer, if somebody's showing them a home, they are a licensed realtor.
That's right.
You can't just go out. There aren't people that work for you that aren't licensed.
Yeah, that's not allowed at all.
Right. Okay. Well, I know the name LaboonSmith. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the full name and what the relationship is?
Well, I'm Chris Laboon, and like I said, I moved here about 20 years ago. We moved here. My husband was working at Sony, and I got my real estate license. I worked at RE/MAX with Alex. I didn't work with Alex, but he was in the office, and we became friends. And I think it's been about 3 years ago, Alex was making a change to Keller Williams Realty, and he was talking to me about making a change. And we started thinking, I never really wanted to have a partner of any kind, and I don't think Alex did either, but we were very good friends since we've known each other. So we got this idea, why not put it together? And, I said, Alex, maybe, 1 and 1 does not equal 2. Maybe it equals 5 or 7, and it's been wonderful, really and truly. I would never change it, and don't look back, not at all.
So you have a partnership under the Keller Williams label?
Right. LaboonSmith is an LLC under the broker Keller Williams.
Okay. Now, for lots of people here in Westmoreland County, Keller Williams is kind of an unfamiliar name. Are they relatively new, emerging into this market, or have they?
In the last 20 years, Tom, KW has managed to become one of the largest brokers in North America. They have a philosophy that is similar to a RE/MAX, where the agent, when they have a commission check, instead of the division between the broker and the agent being, like a 50-50 sort of thing, with a KW and a RE/MAX, the real estate agent practitioner can make a determination and say, hey, you know what, instead of paying them X amount of dollars a year out of percentages, I could look at a RE/MAX, a Keller Williams, something like that, and save myself money. But again, it goes back to you must be able to generate income to pay the Keller Williams bill, the office bills, the ads. Christina and I, we cover all of the expenses of the marketing of our clients' properties. So that's the big difference there between that type of a company and a Keller Williams. So
basically, we pay money to be there, right? And we could go to a different company and not pay, but we choose to do it this way, then when we sell something, we keep our money. Yeah, which it works, but it really only works if you work real hard, and it works very well for us.
Right. Traditional real estate offices are divided up into agents that are given leads that come in through the phone, and that works well for them, and it works well for us because we cooperate with all those agents, and we're happy when they sell our listings and we sell theirs. But it's a shared office situation that accountants and dentists and many professionals for a long, long time have practiced that way and functioned that way.
You're listening to the Tom Balya Show on the 1480 WCNS Talk Block and online at 1480WCNS.com. My guests this morning are Chris Laboon and Alex Smith, and we're talking about real estate. This show is brought to you by Naples & Naples Law Firm, McDowell Insurance Company, and Ford Business Machines. So for our listeners, just so they understand, what do you do? Like, how do you find people that want to buy real estate, and how do you find people that want to sell it?
Well, I think what I'd rather tell you about, Tom, is why someone would choose LaboonSmith as to how we generate leads. Because if anybody out there wants to talk about lead generating, call me and we'll talk about it. But the difference between us, I like to think that the biggest difference is that, we take the time to listen to our clients. And listening to me on the other end of the radio, folks, you probably have a hard time believing that I ever stopped talking long enough to listen. But I did. I listen at those times when it's important, and that's when my clients speak. You
listen even when people think you're not listening.
Yes, I even when I'm talking, I'm listening to the client, Tom. It's true. So the hands-on involvement throughout the process, you can find yourself many successful real estate agents in our marketplace. And again, the separation for Christine and I from the rest of the crowd is that the hands-on involvement throughout the process. We will be the agent that you meet with when you sign the listing contract. We will be the agent that takes you through the transaction, and we will be the agent that goes to the closing with you and makes sure that even at the last minute, every detail has been satisfied. We have, speaking of satisfied, we have an endless list of satisfied clients, customers. We've helped people with the sale of their homes. We have flipper clients that we work hard to keep them busy with properties to sell. We work with commercial real estate, residential real estate, investment properties, land sales, new construction, any of those areas, you're going to deal with Christine or myself. We have great people that support us in our enterprise, and they do the jobs of professionals. We hired a professional photographer to do the videos and shoot the pictures of every one of our listings, not just the big priced ones, but every one of them gets professional photographs. And, on the ones that are appropriate, we make sure that there's a YouTube video that people can go online and see our photographs. They can see our videos, but we spend extra money getting the product out correctly, and that derives a faster sale process and a smoother transaction for the seller client, the buyer client. Those are the things that we strive hard for.
I know the answer is you want both the buyer and the seller, but if you have to have only one, is it easier to work with somebody that has a house and wants to sell it, or somebody that's out looking to buy a house?
Yeah, I don't really have a preference. And most, to answer your question about how do we find buyers and sellers, I think both with Alex and I, most of our people are referred from their brother, sister, cousin. I mean, I've had people where I've had clients, and then I've had their kids, and then I've had their grandkids. That's really and truly most of our business. It really is,
Between Christine and I, we have 50 years experience, so that does actually, if you do the math,
and you're only 29, huh?
Right, I'm only 29, but we're into the third generation of our original client base, so we're very proud of that.
Okay, well, let me ask you this now. Is it easier dealing with some people that are looking to buy a residential property for their own living living versus people that are doing it for investments? I mean, are the investment people more sophisticated, so it's a tougher dealing with them, or is it the individual so uninformed that they're making this monumental decision that you got to hold their hand more?
I don't know. Easier. I actually enjoy both, and I'm a people pleaser, and it's the way I was brought up, and I'm happy to hold their hands too. So I think Alex and I both have our strong points, and maybe, I'm more the one that would hold their hands, but Alex is going to get them through, and that's all there is to it. So between the two of us, I mean, we really have a good match. He's strong in one direction, and I'm strong in the other.
Nothing more than makes me happy than I get a call and somebody wants to sell, a big office building. That's great. And we have plenty of experience with that. But the personal pleasure that you derive from helping first-time buyers or people that have experienced financial hardship, those sort of things truly do give you a reward.
Now, let's talk a little bit, Alex. You mentioned YouTube and videos. I mean, that's clearly something that's new in your business versus
we were the first agents that I'm aware of, and if anybody out there is an agent listening and they want to correct me, then please do if I'm inaccurate. But we were, I believe, the first agents to do the YouTube videos. And, our clients loved them. Our seller clients loved them. Our buyer clients loved them. I look a lot like Brad Pitt. So,
so having you in
that helps. And Chrissy, it's not hard to look at either. So, we're easy to photograph. But, yeah, we do try to do things that are ahead of the crowd. Our photographs on our listings, it's rare that, we're allowed 25 pictures. And, our professional photographer, Jason, he does such a wonderful job that oftentimes he has a hard time breaking it down to 25 photographs because he has an eye. That camera is just part of him. And the same thing with the videos. I'll watch our new video when it comes out. And,
we get excited.
And I'll watch it 3 and 4 times in a row. It's like 2 minutes long. And I watch it because I'm really pleased. If I was going to sell my house, I'd call LaboonSmith. I would. Well,
and we do have good people. Alex, you mentioned about having good people that support us. We do. We have Jason and
we have Amy.
We have Amy.
Yes,
she does our marketing.
A great job. Great job.
All the way around. Wonderful.
No,
and Marianne.
Right.
Marianne.
That's right. Marianne.
Obviously, if he's taking pictures and getting them up to YouTube, he's tech savvy. I'm assuming the rest of your staff is tech savvy.
Oh, yeah.
If somebody's listening to this show and they want to look you
Tom,
guys up,
they have to be tech savvy.
Because you're not.
Yeah, we need that.
How would somebody learn about you? What's your website address?
www.LaboonSmith.com. And Laboon is spelled, Tony, L as in Larry, A as in Apple, B as in boy, O, N as in Nancy, SMITH. www.LaboonSmith.com.
Okay.
And we'd love for you to go there and take a look at some of our inventory. And please call us and buy a house. But, if we can help you in any way related to the real estate world, please call.
Now, you have Facebook also?
We do.
Okay. Okay. So I guess you sort of have to cover all the medium.
We had a very interesting situation with Facebook just 2 weeks ago. A client, told us how it really works today. And, they were going to list with us. But then when they went on to Facebook and 2 people out of 5 came back and said there was only one agent that they said the name twice, and that was us.
We've had that happen a couple times.
That's wonderful.
And we didn't really even fully understand the Facebook. We were on it, but we didn't really. But we've had 2 clients that have said that they went on Facebook and said, can somebody recommend a good realtor? And that, that one of them said she had 6 responses, and of the 6, 3 of them were us. So it just made us feel real good,
Fabulous. Yeah. You're listening to the Tom Balya Show at 1480 WCNS Talk Block and online at 1480WCNS.com. My guests this morning are Chris Laboon and Alex Smith, and we're talking about real estate in Westmoreland County. This show's brought to you by McDowell Insurance Company, Nichols & Nichols Law Firm, and Ford Business Machines. Well, I said Westmoreland County, but you're really licensed to sell anywhere in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, for practical purposes, how far away do you really deal with clients and properties and stuff?
The logistical answer to that is that we both have friends and family and folks that are in Somerset County, Allegheny County, we don't get into,
I think it's mostly if we know the area. Like
Yeah.
I grew up in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, so I wouldn't have any problem if someone asked me, but I probably wouldn't go somewhere that I didn't feel that I could serve them good, you know what I mean?
If you're in that market from about Salzburg to Mount Pleasant, Ligonier to Murraysville, that's where we spend the majority of our time every day. But, as far as equestrian properties, I've handled those as far away as Bedford County. On commercial, certainly, we can do pretty much anything in Allegheny or Westmoreland and compete with any of the agents that would be working in those areas.
Well, now, let me ask you, you've both been in this profession for a number of years. We talked a little bit prior off the air how technology was very rudimentary, without computers and the internet and everything. But what are some of the other really big changes you've seen in the profession in your time there?
Well, the biggest thing I've seen is that, you have more educated people coming into the field, young people coming out of school.
And more educated buyers and sellers.
And the buyers, of course, yeah, Chris, you're so right about that, because it helps so much that, that it makes our job a lot easier when we're able to communicate with people and they recognize these trends that we all see today, that, watching TV has become, now the internet has replaced television, but you still have house shows that are very popular and demographically certain age groups still watch television. So, being on there is something, and getting your product. We like to think that the people that surround us are somewhat younger than us, but they're not, so young that they're not able to bring some experience to the table with them. And we kind of follow the trends. We try to keep an eye on what's going on, and that keeps us out there.
Now, when you say more educated buyers and sellers, you mean educated because they can be exposed to what the market is like?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. They're educated by...
And also the market as far as the houses. When the internet first came out, the real estate agents were, there's too much information out there and people aren't going to need us anymore. And that's not the truth at all. What happens now is when a buyer does call you, they do know a lot about the house, but it's a more qualified buyer for that. You know what I mean? So they know if it's going to work for them or not. So maybe we don't have as many people looking at a particular house that are not for that particular type of a house. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Now, we all heard the term the real estate bubble in the last 7-8 years, and that was a phenomenon that happened in certain parts of the United States. It always seemed like it didn't happen as much here. Why was that? Was it that prices weren't overinflated to begin with?
I think that's it. We never really had a big jump every year in appreciation. We never really had that. I think we had, 3% something.
I like to say, if you didn't go to the party, you didn't have the hangover. We never really, as Chris is saying, we never really saw those real high spikes that we saw in Scottsdale, Arizona, and Las Vegas and Florida, and so many of the other communities that were immediately impacted.
Right, so they didn't feel it the other way when it went down.
Right. Long term here it's always been a very stable market, and that has not changed, and I don't foresee that changing in the near future. Our population are well known throughout the country for having a strong work ethic and owning their own homes. In fact, Somerset County at one point, and I haven't checked the stats on this recently, but I believe Somerset County had more people that actually had equity or owned their homes free and clear than any other county in Pennsylvania. So, Westmoreland is not a slacker either, and always we could use, as everyone knows, more industry here, more jobs for the people, but the people that do work here work hard.
Well, now, we've seen certain parts of this county, like the Murraysville area was kind of filled with professionals from a lot of corporations in Pittsburgh that wanted to get out of Allegheny, and as soon as they crossed the county line, they settled in Murraysville. That's some high-end real estate there. But my impression, and I think you've mentioned this to me, when you've dealt with clients that lived somewhere else and then came here, they were an executive, they think they're getting such a tremendous bargain for what they're getting here versus
Absolutely.
like New York or Washington, D.C.?
Absolutely. It's always been it was one of the factors that helped me make my decision on, I wanted to be back here and with my family, but, even after they passed away and that had changed for me, I still looked at, what it was going to cost to live the way I live anywhere else, and it was enough to also make me stay here and enjoy the benefits of, the lovely Laurel Highlands. Certain times of the year, this is one of the nicest places on earth.
Now, for our audiences, we're starting to wind this down again. I want to again talk specifically about LaboonSmith and what some of the real advantages are for someone to use your services. Chris, why don't you tell them again a little bit about what you're going to bring to the table that maybe some bigger, more boutique real estate shop wouldn't offer?
Well, I think what Alex said about how we listen to the clients is probably it, because it sounds so cliche to say we care, but we really do care. We really and truly do. And we just do our best, always do our best. The thing is, Alex and I put a lot of hours in every day. We do, and weekends, and we work nights, we work weekends, but we enjoy it so much. And it is work, but it doesn't seem like work a lot of the times. We do enjoy it. And
if it's a passion to you, then you don't feel like work.
Exactly. Really
you love what you do.
We've all probably had jobs where you're sitting there looking at the clock, waiting for the day to get over.
Never happens. They told me to go into this business because I could pick my own hours. And 30 years later, I found out you pick your own hours to eat and to sleep because you work the rest of the time.
Well, for our listeners, let's go through what the website address, phone number, email, and anything that they could get a hold of you.
Sure. We have a designated line that goes right to one of our cell phones. The phone number is 724-858-5811. That's 724-858-5811. One of us will always pick it up. Our website again is www.Laboon, L-A-B like boy, O-O-N like Nancy, LaboonSmith.com, www.LaboonSmith.com. You can email Alex or I, Alex at LaboonSmith, and Chris at ChrisLaboon.com.
Great. You've been listening to the Tom Balya Show on the 1480 WCNS Talk Block and online at 1480WCNS.com. My guests this morning have been Chris Laboon and Alex Smith, and we've been talking about real estate. This show is brought to you by Ford Business Machines, Nichols & Nichols Law Firm, and McDowell Insurance Company.